Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Aurogiri, and it is finally time. It is finally time, my fellow players, my subscribers, my friends, and compadres. We are starting a much needed revitalization of guides for Onigiri. So hello, everyone that tried to be first. You're all welcome. You're all first. You're the first here. If you're here within the first minute, you're the first. If you're here within the second minute, you're second. All right. So that's all fun. 11 people. That's great. No one's got school today. That's amazing. That's fantastic. All right. So we are doing a reboot of our guide. So hey Sean, hey Randale, hey Elohim, hey KFC. How y'all doing? And Thizzy as well. So we're doing a reboot. It is the as of 2018 guide. So there could be an update tomorrow, and this could all change. You know, everything I could say today could change tomorrow. This game has a lot of updates, so it's all on a whim. Introductions aside, we're going to get to it, and this time around, we're going to try and keep the guides very succinct. Try to never go over 20 minutes with a topic, and we're going to start here. So this video is going to be centered around the overall meta at its core of Onigiri. Like, we're not going to touch into class specifics until later. We're going to start with a core video, and then we're going to later expand into all of the other class specific guides or weapon type specific guides, starting with wand, because I never talked about wand, like, ever. So there's no lies here. I know it's July. Oh my God. I just thought kids went to school all the time. Oh, I don't know. That explains why the park is loud out in the afternoon. All right. So 16 people. Glad to have you. So let's start talking about the general approach to Onigiri. Yes, we're going to talk about wand. So that's the first thing. In Onigiri, you are given 6 character slots from the get-go. You make one character, you start with them, that's great. That's MMO logic, you know, multiple characters. It's great. My primary advice is this game is not like other MMOs where you pick a character and then that character is tied to a class and then you're just stuck as that specific character class combination for till the end of time, or till you pay money to change it, or whatever that may be. In Onigiri, we are, I want to say it's kind of a blessing that the only thing like doesn't really change is your character. You can change your character's name, appearance, things like that at basically any whim at any time. And your weapons as well. Like, it's not a class-based game. You start the game with like a sword, a wand, all this stuff. You can just change your weapons at any time you want. So let's open up our little menu here. Generally, hey Suzaku, how you doing? So what you'd want to do in the overall meta is you want to pick a weapon type. Even though, like, you can play every different weapon you want, the ability to play multiple weapons at the same time is only a reality really late in the post game, I want to say, to play everything effectively. It can be done, but by playing multi-classing your weapons, you're gimping your damage. You're not realizing your full potential. And in my advice, you want to pick one of the 8 weapon types, master that, work on that, use that to defeat the content, beat the bosses, and then if you ever want to change later, then you use the weapon you built up, whatever class it may be, and use that to get the next thing you want. Yes, generally hybrids will suck. The only real hybrid exemption that would make hybrids work is late game, and this is very much tied to events. Is some events will have Magatama, which we're going to talk about a lot in a little bit. Magatama that are universal for each class. Things like the Knowledge Mag, the Thunder Mastery Mag, the Wind Mastery Mag, and there are many others. So those would allow you to play every class equally, and you could do just fine, except those are very element specific, which we'll have to go into as well later. So many little things to get into. Snowmags as well, yes. Cool, Krista, cool. I can't really see it because I'm in a menu, but I appreciate it. So, just dialing it back, because I know I could talk about everything for hours, and you know I have because of all the videos on the channel. But just dialing it back, if you're a new player, here's the thing I tell you to do. Try out, with your 6 characters, try out all the different weapon types. Play them all up until, like, I don't know, by the time you reach Kyoto on that character, you should have some affinity towards each weapon type. Because at the end of the day, if you're just going to play this game and say, okay, Oro, I've come to the video, what's the most OP thing I can play, and that's it. Like, what could that be? I would tell you, it's whatever you love, okay? Like, some people say, oh, well, Axe has the highest attack. Well, there's a damage cap. Late game, everyone hits damage cap. Attack is great, but it's not the end-all, be-all. Twin swords are fast and strong. They're really great late game. They're pretty average mid-game, but they really shine later. Sword has the most support in the game from events, titles, just sword is very preferenced. There's that example, or that, not really an example, but there's that angle. Spear has long to mid range. It's really fun. In my opinion, it has the coolest looking attacks, elemental attacks, sweeping attacks, good range, very defensive class. I think Spear is great. It's my personal class. Staff is a class that is, it's mostly a supportive class, but in Onigiri, everyone generally wants to carry a staff and 3 weapons anyway. So if your main goal is to be like pure support, Onigiri's approach to pure support is less rewarding than it would be in another MMO where healers are needed on the team, etc. In Onigiri, pretty much every character, every player is going to be self-sufficient to a certain degree, to whereas you can replenish your own MP, your own SP, you can heal yourself, you can buff yourself with speed very, very easily with very little investment into the game. But if you wanted to play staff offensively, you could do it, but mind you, you will be at a huge offensive disadvantage until late game, until you can acquire some Magatamas that are really strong, and especially the elemental ones, because staff has a very tiny repertoire of elements. Like, it has great holy, it has some dark, it has really good rain, but it doesn't really have access to key elements like fire and wind outside of rare Ogis and things of that sort. So if staff is your thing, let me just tell you now, it's not going to be the easiest of paths to take. Wand is magic. It is fireballs, lightning balls, ice balls, wind balls, you know, lots of projectiles. It's got, honestly, the projectiles are the better moves to use. They are instant. They hit the enemy instantaneously. They have short cooldown, good range, good rapid fire abilities. Like, Wand is really good if you like that ranged battle and you just want to shoot instant projectiles. It's really good in that regard. Contrasting to Wand, there is Bow, and Bow is arguably, in my opinion, one of the best classes in the game. Bow has instantaneous damage like Wand, but it has far greater range. Bow has the strongest dark element in the game, and dark is very, very, very essential late game, because for whatever reason, every boss, like every second boss is weak to dark, and Bow just really, really excels at dark, whereas the other classes have to use moves that take too much durability to use their darkness in the form of Collapsing Blade. So Bow is really, really good to use in that regard. Odachi is pretty cool. It's a mixture, it's like a medium class of sword, like between sword and axe. Like, it's fast. It's like medium speed, decent range. It's like sword with more range, but not as fast, I guess. It's got great utility, great wind attacks, great fire attacks, great holy attacks, great slice attacks. It's got a lot of in the elements that Odachi has, it does really well with them, although it may not have access to every element like rain or things of that sort. Axe is really strong but slow. It can do an insane amount of damage. It's got really good Ogis, really good AoE, and if you can, what's that word? If you can gear yourselves towards maybe getting some Magatamas with, or getting some mags that give you an extra bit of attack speed, which come later on, Axe can really, really excel and do really good damage if you pace yourself and strike when the enemy isn't looking. Like, you can do a lot of damage with Backstrike and the Evil Eye later on. Axe can really tear ass. Oh my god. So we said sword, Odachi, axe, bow, wand, twin, spear, staff. I think that's all 8. So that's all 8 classes. Feel free to try them out and pick the one you like the most. That's my advice. Because this is a game you're going to spend thousands, hundreds to thousands of hours in getting good. Like, a lot of this game is the grind. If you're one of those people who say, okay, I'm going to play this game, what's the most OP thing to do? What's the most OP weapon? What's the easiest way to do this? What can I skip? And you just ask about all this, like, how to cheese the game to the point where you get to the meta. Like, in my opinion, if you just skip everything, you're going to have not the full Onigiri experience. I don't want everyone to suffer through it, but in my honest opinion, after talking to hundreds of people in this game, if you want the easy way out and you just want to cookie cutter your way through to the meta, then you're going to miss out a lot of the grind. You're going to miss out a lot of the Onigiri experience. And you're just going to get to endgame and be like, well, what do I do now? And then I'm going to tell you, well, welcome to endgame. You wait once a month for an update. You do the update in about 2 weeks, and you wait for the next one. The Onigiri has so much more content that you don't want to just start and be at, like, the end game right away. It should be your goal. It should be your drive. It should be your passion to better yourself. But if you skip that, then the game's going to lose a lot of its luster, and it's going to get boring because a lot of things you'll have to do are energy based, and unless you want to, you know, keep putting coins into the MMO arcade machine, let's say, you're not going to have as many options of things to do as compared to if you just played through the game naturally. When you're just getting started, after you've picked a class you want to specialize in, my advice is do your story, run everything on hard. Hard has the highest drop rate for Magatamas, which are basically magic beads that your character wears. I have 4 of them down here. And these are going to amplify your damage, your elements, all that stuff. These are where all your damage comes from. Like, you can have, like, the strongest weapon in the game, but if you don't have Magatamas on you, you can't really do much. You're, like, you don't have any modifiers. Your damage is not going to be enough to carry you through most of, like, the level 100 plus content. Hello, Dubs. Generally, what you're going to want to look for in the meta for Magatamas is this should be your goal. You're going to want your 105 Magatama. They're called 105s because the minimum level to use them is 105, or level 105. Generally, you're going to want to aim for 3 of these Magatamas, and then a 4th Magatama that has a small chakra cost that fits in your curve. As you level up, your Magatama chakra cost, which is right here, 169 being the cap, will increase over time, and as it increases, the more Magatamas you can fit in your build to maximize your damage and make your character great. And as I said, generally the meta for Onigiri is you have 3 weapons of your class, a good staff with some good support skills on it. Great things to have is at least 1 Invigorate. Resurrection is awesome to have. Cure skills are good if you desire them. Cure 7's really good. And Meditation and Rapid Storm are both great as well. Extend Heal is also good for those that don't need meditation. And it's just great to have it, because if everyone in your group has a staff, because you can play in up to parties of 5, if everyone has a staff and everyone's supporting each other, then you're going to have a great time. Yep, we're at that 15-minute mark. We're coming to a close of this first part. Thank you, Miss Timekeeper. So generally, you're going to want 3 different weapons within your class. So right now, I'm max level. I'm 130, but I still use my El Omenadum Sin, because even though it's a 120 weapon, because it's a really good lightning and holy weapon. It's great. The next weapon on my equipment slot right here is the Sovereign Spear Perfectus Supreme, and this is a fire dark weapon, but I have it just set up for darkness because, like I said earlier, dark is really good. So right now I have a holy lightning weapon, a dark fire weapon, but I have 2 of them, one with dark, one with fire, because you can do that. And lastly, I have the Other Side Spear, which is a really, really strong event weapon that is just really strong, that it has Water Dragon on it, Collapsing Blade on it, Whirlwind Thrust on it, and then Darkness again. And those skills are just really good, some of the best skills on Spear. Yes, her name is Eva, but right now she's saying some time. She's making sure I don't go over time. So, so I've got, just on these 3 weapons alone, I have Lightning, Holy, and Rain, Darkness, Wind. Yeah, so I've got like 5 different elements to use, and depending on which dungeons you're going to do, you're going to look up the boss in the wiki, because the game is a wiki. Please use the wiki. If ever you get stuck, please consult the wiki, or you can send me a message on YouTube, or leave a comment. If you ever have a question, please feel free to do so. I'm generally pretty good at keeping close tabs on my comments and replying, when I sense a question. So elements are really good. It's good to diversify your elements, build weapons for specific elements, because a lot of the times you're just going to change your weapons and go in and do the best you can. So it's a lot of building specific weapons for specific dungeons. The game is very dungeon based. There's nothing that really happens in field. There's no big raids or anything like that. It's mostly dungeon based, and in most post game dungeons or late game dungeons, you cannot change your weapons within the dungeon. So it's best to set yourself up accordingly before, and then go in and give them hell. Like, that's generally what you'd want to do. One thing to mention is the accessory slot. Accessories are generally, stat-wise, they're the only pay-to-win section of the character. Like, in this game, there's no weapon you can buy with real money that's going to just, like, instantly carry you. Unless, of course, you buy it from another player, but that's a whole different video on its own. We have to do a beginner's guide for bazaars. We really need to. But I won't touch on that for right now. But if you do plan on putting money in this game, my opinion on that is, play the game for a week first. Like, try out the different classes, try out the different weapon types, find the one you like, and learn how to play. Don't just put money in like day one. I don't encourage that for any game. Like, make sure you like the game first. That's the number one thing. Is the game fun? Yes. Okay. Let's play it. Do we really like the game? Yeah, let's put some money in and see what happens. Because this game is very much based on a gacha system, so it's the Japanese sort of like a roulette lottery system, in terms of you put money in, like you put $20, you get like a 5 roll, and you get 5 balls, and they pop out, each a different rarity, and some of them you may get some awesome things, some Ogis, the super skills that take up the bottom 2 slots of your weapons. Those are Ogis. They have the orange shining circle around them. They're usually just super attacks, but there are some normal attacks, if built appropriately, that can outdamage them. But they are still really great to have, and pretty much anyone who anyone in this game is going to have Oogis on their weapons. But as I was saying, these accessories are pay-to-win items. You cannot buy them outright. They're only obtainable from the gacha, or the Nyankoropon as it is called in this game. And if you are so lucky to get one with a Vanguard, which is a really, really rare character to get, which is something we have to talk about later. But if you're lucky to get accessories, these things are so good. They are OP. Like, literally, they make you overpowered. Mine, for example, give me 15% extra attack. And what that does is it takes my total attack, my weapon, plus my character's affinity with that weapon, combines those two numbers, and then multiplies or amplifies that by a whole 15% of it, which jumps my attack up like crazily. They also gives you things like an HP buff, extra points to your stats, extra elements, cooldown, and affinity. It's really good. This is the best one for Spear. And generally, after you choose the class you want to play, the class you want to main, you want to study the Nyankoropon and look at accessories that are available month by month and try to scope them out, the ones that are for your class, and go for them. We'll probably do a whole other video talking about which accessories are best for each class to save you guys a bit of that struggle. And hopefully that will, help give you a little navigation towards what you want to roll for as a player. Thunder Anime, do I think new players will get a Campigan to help them out? New players will get a Campigan. Do you mean a companion or a campaign? I'm not sure what you're saying, Thunder Anime, but in terms of new players, there's probably about, I want to say about 20 to 50 new players each day. And if you just talk around, I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to find some people that you can team up with and go through the game with. Sometimes it's best to just go into an MMO with a couple friends, try it out together, and just go through it and maybe meet some new people along the way. But Onigiri is definitely a game you can go through solo and you'll do just fine up until like the major bulk of the game. Oh, you just started a couple days ago? If you just started well, that's great. I'm glad you found the channel already. You started a couple days ago. You're on the right path. But did you mean campaign or companion? I just don't know what you said there. You play this game with your mom? Cool. Cool, I play like clean the house with my mom. That's what we play. It's mostly me, but it's the love that matters. The first one, I don't remember what I said. Maybe a companion. Okay, I was hoping you'd just type it out, but I do know that you can do the side quests. That's the biggest one. Do your side quests. If you do all your side quests, you'll get a lot of stuff. If there's going to be a campaign, if it is campaign, right now there's currently no OC campaign, so I wouldn't put money in right now if you wanted to. But next update there will be a campaign that like helps you. So like if you put money in the game, they will give you extra stuff with it. Like it's like some extra tickets and some boosts and things like that. They'll help. But the campaigns are just supplementary. In my opinion, in my advice, never just put money in to get campaign rewards. Just like get the campaign rewards later. Like it just comes with it. Like you don't go. I mean, when you're a kid, you go to McDonald's to get a toy, but generally you go to McDonald's for your Happy Meal to eat some food, and then you get the toy with it. Like don't get into the mentality where you go for the toy and then you get this other stuff you don't really need to, But your friend told me, so thanks, man. Thanks for the referral to your friend. You mean like the time when new players got the legendary? Oh, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I haven't made a new character in forever, so maybe if you made a new account, they'd give you stuff. But I'm not sure. If he hasn't gotten anything yet, then he hasn't got anything at all. He's not going to get anything. The biggest help I can see coming your way is if they make a new, if they make like a new event that just gives away stuff for free. Like if we get Kinkame in the next update or something in the Summer Festival. Aside from them doing something specific, it's not going to, they're not ones to just give stuff. Okay. So lastly, we're going to wrap this up because we're almost at 30 minutes, which is it's just me talking. As much as I try to make things short, 30 minutes is what we're going to aim for, I guess. The last thing to specifically talk about is, have I found out when the next update is? The update should be like tomorrow or Wednesday. And tomorrow's probably Wednesday. So it's probably going to be tomorrow, if not next week. I've seen a couple Facebook messages saying the update's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be this week. But they had told me the 20th. I guess they weren't ready. So it could be tonight. It could be tonight. So about Magatamas and all that stuff, really quickly, we're going to go over the status details. So basic stuff to look at is attack speed. Basically, never go negative attack speed ever. As much as you can, just never go negative attack speed, because you never want to make yourself slower, because you're going to be more of a target. And since it's AI fighting you, if you're slow, they're just going to snipe you right out. Like, you need to be quick in this game. You got to attack, roll, and, you know, play smart. So you never want to go negative attack. Crit force, this stat controls how much damage you do when you land a critical hit. The base crit force in the game is 170, which just means when you do a critical hit, it's going to do 1.7 times your damage, so 70% more damage when you land a critical hit. If my crit force is 200, that just means my criticals do 2 times the damage. So let's say I did an attack that did 200,000 damage. If it crit, it's going to do 400,000 damage. That's all that means. So essentially, if you can go to the higher extreme and get this to 300, which is the cap, all of your criticals would deal 3 times the damage, which is a really nice dream, but, you know, it's not the end-all be-all. It's really great. It's awesome. I love it. But, you know, generally you'd want to be anywhere from 200 to 250, something like that. HP recovery, this is just how much you heal every now and again. The stat's really inconsistent, don't worry about it. Same thing with SP recovery, like, it could be how much SP you gain every tick, but it's never been right in my experience, so it is what it is. And then cooldown cut is, your base cooldown cut is 0, but what this does is this just amplifies how quickly your moves come back after you use them. So if you attack, it has a cooldown before you can use the next skill, and then the higher your cooldown cut, the quicker it comes back. And if you get your cooldown cut as high as it can go, which is like 80, I believe, I've had some moves that just come back instantaneously, and it really, really just changes your hold experience in the game. And that's just awesome. Down here, there is experience gain, Ryu gain, and drop gain. This is if you use like a boost in the game to double your experience, your money gain, or your item drop gain. Those buffs would just show up here as whatever you have there. Where's a good place to get bows? Because the bows I get can't get repaired. At the beginning of your game, most of your weapons are bad. So what you'd want to do is just continue through the story. Just use the weapons they give you and just work your way up to Kumaso and Izumo, those areas there, and you'll start getting better weapons that can be repaired. Those weapons that can't be repaired are just going to be given to you at the early areas of the game, as the game wants to encourage you to go further in the story to get better stuff that can be repaired. And if you find yourself getting a lot of bad stuff, make sure you put your friendship items into your partners, because that's the main grind of the game. The initial grind is just leveling up your friendship partners, I guess, your friends. Give them friendship items. Read each item and it'll tell you what partner each item goes to. So like a friendship pendant is for Shizuka, a paperback is for Yoshitsune, and a goldfish is for Ibaraki, and so on and so forth. And the model kit's for Moroku, let's just say. So if you just pump up your partners as you play through the game, you're going to find yourself identifying better weapons at the start, getting better repairs, finding yourself with more inventory, and just a lot of just little buffs that add up and just make your experience better. So friendship items are really, really important. So last thing we're going to touch on is the elements. So every attack in the game has an element. So for example, my favorite skill, Water Dragon Spear, is a move that is water and pierce. So that it's rain element, it's not water, but rain and pierce. So the green thing is pierce, the orange thing is slice, and the blue pentagon is impact. So generally, an attack like that would be made up of water and pierce. So the more I boost my pierce and my rain element, the more damage that move is going to do. And so there's 8 or 10 elements here. 2 of them aren't really used.